Okay, I want to talk to you about JavaScript and why I'm excited about it, like that guy. JavaScript is a wonderful language. It's an incredible versatile language for the web. It's available web-wide and across many platforms. That's why I started building it years ago, because I didn't want to have only one computer. As you can see, having different platforms is never an issue. It's toolset independent. I didn't have to download a Borland C builder or spend like $6,000 on an editor before I actually can start building code. I just needed a text editor, and I started with DOS edit and text edit later on. And it's forgiving and inviting. That's why a lot of real developers hate JavaScript, because you can do a lot of things in it that you shouldn't be doing in other languages. That's why we hated PHP as well, but it still powers companies like Yahoo and Facebook and all kind of stuff out there. You can use JavaScript in many ways. You can use it in browsers on the web, you can use it on the server, you can use it in applications, you can use it to access services, you can use it as a data format, JSON, and you can use it on hardware. There's like a Tesla hardware, for example, that runs on JavaScript, and you can use it on your cat, your dog, your fridge, your television set. Please play with it and tell me about it, because I always want to see great examples of people using JavaScript where you don't expect it. It's in super high demand, and the best way to test that is if you do a Google search for undefined is not a function, because this is when Java developers start writing JavaScript, because the correlation between Java to JavaScript is the same as ham to hamster. Can be done, but shouldn't be done. So it's just a word, because Java was cool back then when they defined it, so I thought it was a good idea to call it JavaScript rather than LiveScript that it was called originally. A quick reminder how JavaScript is pretty much the odd one out, because it is a language that we build a lot of stuff on the web with, but it has a problem with it. It's technically not a great language for the web. And the reason is that it's not fault tolerant. HTML and CSS are fault tolerant. What that means is, like, if you write something wrong in HTML, the browser tries to do it right for you. You don't close a p tag, it closes the p tag for you. You nest things wrongly, it moves the child element outside of the other element. In CSS, you write some random CSS, the CSS parser goes through it line by line. When it realizes a line that it doesn't understand, it goes, and goes to the next one. When the JavaScript parser goes through your JavaScript and finds a line with an error, it says like, oh my god, I'm on fire, we're all going to die, and I'm not going to do anything any longer right now. That's the main difference between JavaScript and the other web languages. JavaScript is not fault tolerant. That's why you get these kind of experiences where you just stand there and everything is waiting, and you're like, what's going on? It's lovely to show this on somebody's screen when they come back from lunch. Listen there. One little mistake and nothing shows up. And I've seen wired things like that on the web before. Thankfully, only paranoid freaks turn off JavaScript. This is what that's what a normal user that turns off JavaScript looks like. It's not true though. This is what a normal JavaScript user that looks like. This is a friend of mine from Canonical, and he built this great website, Everyone Has JavaScript Right, that explains to you what can go wrong before your JavaScript gets actually executed on somebody's computer. So there's lots of steps there that can go wrong, including your router, including your company, including your firewall, including your ISP or your mobile phone provider, or the NSA, people spying on you, these kind of things. JavaScript can break in many, many ways. And the problem with that is, like, we had the same with XHTML2. When HTML became XHTML2, one little HTML error, like an unencoded ampersand or an unclosed p tag, would mean people would get this error message saying, like, something's wrong. And when it says something wrong on the screen, people who don't use computers get scared, because computers are magical boxes that do terrible things to us. So as soon as there's an error on stage, on the screen, it's actually the error of the user and never of the programmer, because we're amazing. That's why we did HTML5. HTML5 is forgiving. As I said before, the parsers, when there is an error, it says meh, and goes on with it. And with JavaScript, we don't do that. We punish our end users for every single mistake that we make. And that's not necessarily the right way of dealing with this. JavaScript abuse is pretty rampant. This is the nasa.gov website. If you go for that one and you load it, it gives you about 5 seconds of how the vastness and deepness of space looks like. Dark and nothing. And then it shows you a few squares with like spinners, and it starts loading content for you, and it starts doing that. So this is 14.8 seconds of waiting on a 100 megabit connection for the NASA website to load. Built by government and tax money, so well done. It has 3 megabytes of blocking JavaScript before the first word appears on the page. So what it is they put Ember and jQuery into one JavaScript file, didn't minify it, and put it in there with a script node, even without a defer. They just basically load the thing and hope that everybody's fine. Because we have fast connections, it looks awesome in the office, obviously everybody else likes it as well. So if you invite every one of your clients to your office to see your website there, they will get the same experience, but that doesn't scale quite. This is one of the big issues we have with the web community. JavaScript is too powerful for its own good. We do everything with it, and I just gave a talk about that one. Almost everything that goes wrong can be controlled and to a degree fixed with JavaScript. So when HTML doesn't do the thing you want, let's generate the elements with JavaScript. If CSS, you don't understand the syntax, let's use JavaScript to paint things on the screen. And this leads to people relying on libraries and frameworks. We use code we don't understand to fix issues we don't have. So learning libraries and frameworks beyond the hello world costs time and money. So every time people say they get more effective with frameworks, think about that every one of your developers has to learn the same framework and they might not be excited about it. Most developers, as you might have guessed, have good ideas for themselves and have strong opinions of themselves, so they will argue instead of using the framework that you decided for the rest of the team. Time that you spend past that hello world is you don't spend on looking or optimizing your own code. And in essence, we value developer convenience over experience. It's easier for us, so it must be better for the end user as well. But if it takes 15 seconds, then it wasn't better for the end user, but it was just better for you. Building libraries and frameworks that magically fix things have become fashionable. This is how we show off to each other as JavaScript developers. Because it's really hard to release something with a client because they have annoying questions and they have users who break things. We don't want that. So we just write JavaScript libraries for each other and tools for each other, and that's much more exciting. We work around browser issues. We make web standards of tomorrow work today. We build solutions to clean up others and make them smaller. Each of those comes with a don't use in production label, which is great because then we just stand there like we don't have any problems with it if it breaks because nobody should have used it in production, right? Well, anyways. So my goal for today is to learn how to use JavaScript responsibly and still stay up to date. I know, tall order, we're all tired, but I'm hopefully exciting enough to do that. Let's fix things at the source. First, the JavaScript learning process. Learning JavaScript seems unfashionable. Instead, we're like, oh, just use a framework and click these 5 things together. The JavaScript itself, yeah, just the editor does that for you. Don't worry about it. Search for a solution on Stack Overflow, copy and paste the bits that look like responsible for some things, change some numbers around, run into errors, and if that happens, go back to step 1 and find something else on Stack Overflow. I called this the Fullstack Overflow developer rather than the full stack developer, and sadly enough it's quite rampant. A lot of people just copy and paste things out there without knowing what they're doing. It's funny when you search for GitHub, for example, you look for wp-config on GitHub and you find people's database access at passwords and usernames, for example. People just randomly copy things onto the web and wonder when people find it. You are better than that. All of you are cleverer than that, and you're not these people. There's no lack of free online resources for learning JavaScript. Mozilla Developer Network is the #1 solution for me since 1997. I've written half of that thing, so I know it's kind of good, and hopefully still good, but it's editable, so I never know. Watch talks, do online courses, download and read free books, learn by doing and playing with the language. If you don't know it, analyze it. Just play with it and break things. You cannot do anything wrong if it's on your own computer. If you break things on your clients' computers or your live websites, not so much a good idea. But yeah, everybody hires, so not a problem. Share your knowledge, and when you teach, because when you teach, you end up learning. I used JavaScript professionally for about 5 years before I wrote my first book, and then I realized I've been cheating. I had no idea what I was doing. But when I was writing, when I had to explain what the language does to other people, I realized, oh my God, I did this just randomly because I knew, but now I know why, and it's much more exciting then, because then you realize, oh my God, what have I done the last 5 years? Wasted my youth. Let's fix things in the source, removing scapegoats. Internet Explorer is dead. People get very, very excited about Internet Explorer being there like, oh yeah, I would love to do all these modern things, but we have to support Internet Explorer. Yes, you do. You give it HTML and you give it some CSS. Don't give it any hardcore JavaScript. Internet Explorer is a retired browser. It's an old man sitting on the beach. Don't go them, shake them and say like, let's go for a run. It's retired. Let it be. It's in the park with other browsers. Fine. Removing the largest stumbling block of the web, Internet Explorer is now Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge is an evergreen browser, much like Chrome, much like Safari, much like Firefox, much like Vivaldi, much like Opera, and all the others out there, the 6,000 mobile browsers that we have as well. Communication is open and ready to answer your problems. @MSEdgeDev is the Twitter account. We have a user voice where you can complain when something's broken or you want something. Statusmodern.ie tells you what is going on with the browser. RemoteModern.ie is how you can test the browser, or for example on a Mac without having to install a virtual machine or a Windows box. And insider.windows.com I put there because people paid me, I don't know. We moved away from the old Internet Explorer engine to a new JavaScript engine and a new rendering engine in the browser. We removed 200,000 lines of old code. Things that only Internet Explorer users and engineers were excited about, but nobody else because it wasn't standardized. We removed the 6 document modes we had. We removed 600 APIs that weren't in use since 1997 for good reason, because nobody needed them. And then we added 300,000 lines of code, which is all goodness and beautiful things like cherries and strawberries and cream, all the HTML5 standards, all the APIs that all the other browsers support as well. And then we also created 4,200 interop fixes. What does that mean? All the non-standard code is gone. Stop worrying about and above all supporting it. VML, attach event, current style, IE layout quirks, VB script, conditional comments, all of this stuff is dead. If you want to know if your website uses any of that old stuff and you can take it away from your website to make it faster, there's a great website called Static Scan. It's on devmodern.ie, tools static scan. You can type your website in there, it analyzes it and tells you this is not needed, this is not needed, this is old, please, why did you do this, and these kind of things. It also shows you accessibility issues. If you, for example, have a button that has a background that is only a gradient for WebKit, which means you have white text on white background, it tells you that. So that's a very, very good way to test your little website and your bigger websites as well. It's also installable behind a firewall if you want to do it yourself. There's no more plugins. The browser is the runtime. So Silverlight is gone and you have to let it go. What else do we have? Stop breaking things. That would be good. We needed to keep IE11 in Windows 10 as too many sites relied on its non-standard code, including everything that we do internally in Microsoft, like my finance sites and travel sites and these kind of things. It is still in the operating system. IE11 is there when you need it. When you don't need it, you're never going to find it. We hid that away really, really well. It only so when Microsoft Edge gets to a website that really is written for IE6 and other terrible things, it tells you like, oh, this needs the engine, and it opens automatically in IE11 for you. So they don't need to do anything. If you're an admin in your company and you have lots of websites that do that, you can also provide an XML file, I think, a whitelist that says like, these are the sites that need to open in IE11. But if you want to build something new and something better, build for Microsoft Edge, because when you build for those, you build for Chrome and for Firefox and for Vivaldi and for Opera and all the others as well. Build for all of them, don't build for one of them, please. Building a new browser taught us a lot of things, mostly that life is pain. We moved from Trident to Edge HTML, as said before, and we had these 4,200 interop fixes. What does that mean? We put a new browser out on the web and we looked at websites. I'm not going to say the name of that website because that would be not nice, but okay. So this is what it looked like in Safari, because everybody has an iPhone, and this is what it looks like in Firefox on Android, and this is what it looked like in Internet Explorer on a Windows phone. So this is the Welcome to 1996, We Hate You edition of this website. The reason is that people read out what browser is in use, or they hoped that they found out which browser is in use, instead of giving this interface that is beautiful to every one of them which is capable as well. So what is called is user agent sniffing. And it's a terrible thing to do that developers do. The user agent is a string that's telling you allegedly what the browser is. It's called a pack of lies on people that have to work with it. So, for example, Firefox is Mozilla 5.0, which was Netscape 6, and it also has the Gecko engine in there, which was Firebird. And then Safari is also Mozilla 5.0, because why not? And then it's also Apple WebKit, which is also KHTML, like Gecko, which was Conqueror. And Chrome is Mozilla as well, and it's also Safari, and it's also like Gecko. And Edge is all of them up above. So trying to parse that is fun, and people do really, really cool things. Let's detect if it's a mobile browser, right? We found that in use. This is a regular expression that somebody had if it's a mobile browser. Ironically enough, Windows Phone did not show up as a mobile device. Stop doing that. You can't safely detect a browser. They lie to you, and I can change my interface in the browser as well. There's a few cheap airlines in Europe, like low-budget airlines. They give you a higher price when you're on a Mac than when you're on a Windows machine. They expect you to be rich because you were affording a Mac. So I always say it's Internet Explorer 6 and get cheaper tickets that way. It's amazing. You fix your code in time and environment. You might as well code native, because when you test for one browser, you test for that browser. You really need to fix an issue. If there's really a bug with the browser, test for the browser and the version and the operating system, and only put the fix in there. The problem is if you don't do that and the problem gets fixed in the browser never gets your fix, because it still gets detected as the old browser. That's why you get this 9097 we hate you interface on the new modern Internet Explorer 11, which would be capable of what the other ones were doing as well. Keep your helper tools up to date. Outdated libraries force us to optimize old practices in the JS engine, because libraries did the same thing. They did user agent testing as well. And we had like MooTools and old jQuery, and it didn't show up properly in Edge, so we had to fix the JavaScript engine to work around these bug fixes as well, which is not fun. Shoddily written polyfills broke new JavaScript functionality and forced us to rename a few methods. Array contains, for example, was a part of a library, so if we had overwritten that, the websites would be broken and people would be unhappy and would call us and be annoyed with us. Old libraries do browser sniffing and apply old syntax to now standardized functionality. Great example for that is gradients or animation, that is like WebKit animation and MS animation and MOS animation. These are not necessary, animation is enough. If you think JavaScript, think of escalators. Escalators are great because when they break down, they become stairs. You can still reach the other level. When a lift breaks down, you're standing in a very tiny room with a lot of people that you don't want to be in. So an escalator can never break, it just becomes slightly more inconvenient. So if your HTML and your CSS gives an interface that works and your JavaScript breaks, you still have something for the end user. And you realize when you do that kind of approach that you need less and less JavaScript over time. The other thing, let's remove a scapegoat, tooling. People always tell tooling on the web is terrible, tooling on native environments is absolutely beautiful, and it actually makes you look younger and makes your skin look better when you use iOS instead of web. Our development environment is nothing short of incredible by now. If you look at developer tools in browsers, they do sorts of amazing things. They give us incredible insights. You see the memory consumption. You see when the browser paints something, when the browser delays something. You know how long something took to load. You can actually block it. You can simulate devices in developer tools. You can simulate that you're a mobile phone, which is amazing. We can debug across devices and even convert HTML to native apps, and Ryan showed that earlier with Manifold or Warlon.js. And editors have linting, built integration, and some are even written in JavaScript and run in the browser. Editors are not these monolithic things anymore that we don't know how to do. Most of the editors we work with nowadays, like Atom, allow us to write in JavaScript extensions to the editor. We share code on GitHub and help debug problems using JSFiddle, JSBin, and others. This is a great way to complain on the web. When something's broken and you don't know how to do it, put up a JSBin and ask people to play with it and fix it with you live. You can actually see people typing things while they're helping you out, rather than like write a cryptic email where you try to describe your problem. Visual Studio Code is one of those editors. It's written in Node.js and JavaScript, and it's available for all platforms, and it's been open sourced since yesterday. And it's open source, it's cross-platform, so you can use it on a Mac, I can use it on my Linux machine, I can also use it on my Windows box. It's written in JavaScript itself and includes debugging and linting. So even if you don't want to use the developer tools in the browser, you can do a step-by-step debugging in your JavaScript while you're writing your JavaScript. And it has GitHub integration, so if your GitHub sounds like a scary thing to you, and everybody uses GitHub these days, in the browser, in the editor, it's actually automatically doing it for you, and you just press a button and it sends it to your GitHub site. If you want to try Node and also Expressshare is a way to build websites nowadays using JavaScript. It might be annoying to you to set it up on your own machine, or you are the client's computer and you want to tell them like, yeah, we're going to use Node and Express for you, but we don't want to install anything on your computer because it's basically messy. There's a great way of doing that by going to the Try Azure website. You get a 1 hour free test server. So 1 hour you can play with that thing. It creates a server for you. You can authenticate with Google, Facebook or Microsoft, so you don't even need to log in with a Microsoft account, and you can keep your code afterwards by forking it or downloading it. So everybody duck, let's try a live demo of that. Let's see if that one works. I'm going into Firefox because I'm obviously a Microsoft person. So try appserviceazure.com. Hopefully the wireless here works for me. So all you have to do is select an app type. So in this case, I want to create a web app. And you press the next button because clicking on it is obviously too easy. Then you press the Express.js here and you say create. And then you log in. I'm logging in, for example, here with Google because I've got 10,000 accounts on this computer where I can actually log in with. And it's going to be on the video so people know all my accounts now. Excellent. So it says now here that it's spinning here, and you can see this means we now send one of our interns in the server farm to set up one of those computers and do all the installation stuff for you. Sometimes they get fed when they do it fast enough. And no, in essence, what you do now is get a virtual machine on the Azure cloud set up for you without having to sign up for anything like that. So now this machine is live. And I can click on it here, and I can see that now it says Express, welcome to Express. Amazing. What if you want to edit this now? You can either download it here and clone it on your command line. So you can go to the command line and do I'm going crazy here, like, let's do a git clone, and let's see if the wireless here does that. And it clones into it and downloads it for me, so I have that. This is not going away. So even when the machine is done after an hour, I can still take my code with me. So it tells me now here I've got 58 minutes left, but I don't have to worry about it. You can also click here, Edit with Visual Studio Live. So now I have an editor in the browser that allows me to play with that Node.js and that Express.js instance. This is the same code editor that is also in Visual Studio Code. So if I now go here to my public, and I go to my, I've got to go to my views and do the index jade. So instead, welcome to, I say hi at, and then I save that, or it automatically saves it for me actually. And I can go to the website, it changed it live here after it loaded. So you don't need to install anything, you don't need to have anything but a browser. You can do that on an Android tablet if you wanted to. And after an hour you just download the thing or you edit it live and you're done. And if you don't like Azure, after an hour just close it and say, nah, I don't like you. That's it. So the next thing, JavaScript is not good enough. So we should evolve JavaScript into a better language, and we're doing that right now. JavaScript has grown up. It's now ES6. It's an evergreen language we call ECMAScript 6, 2015, 2016, 2079. It's ratified. It is a standard that has been defined. ES6 is here to stay for a while. The support is encouraging. This is across browsers and platforms. Edge is leading. Firefox and Chrome are almost on the same level. Safari on iOS 9 is pretty good as well. And platforms like Node.js and compilers actually work with it as well. If you want to make it work for other browsers that are not the newer browsers, you can transpile ES6. This means it takes the new features of ES6 like classes and like let statements, const statements, templating, all the things that we had JavaScript libraries for is now part of the language. It converts them into ES5 so it runs even on IE8 if you wanted to. So Babel.js is a very, very good way of doing that. Or you can go another way around, you can write in Typescript. Typescript is a superset of JavaScript itself, and it converts it into JavaScript under the hood. This means that you can write all the goodness of ES6 right now without having to wonder about the browser comparison as well. And I hope that once browsers get more supported and all the browsers support more of ES6, we can change the TypeScript compiler to not convert it to ES5, but to actually convert it to ES6 so that browsers have these features and we get the benefits of being able to optimize the JavaScript engine in itself. You can also feature test for ES6, so if you don't want to use any transpilation, or if you don't want to use a superset language like TypeScript. By the way, Angular is now using TypeScript as well. That used to be an own language in Google, but they said like, yeah, okay, Microsoft has TypeScript already, so why don't we do it together? There's a Featuretest IO library by Kyle Simpson, which also is just a JavaScript library you can put in, and then you can ask the browser, what do you support? And it tells you all the parts of ES6 that it supports. So if you just want to use 2 or 3 features of it, and you don't want to test it yourself, you can use that Featuretest IO, or you can also take Featuretest IO apart and find all the tests inside the test.js file in that one as well. If you want to learn ES 2015 or ES6, it's the same thing, but we just make it every year now, so we keep it evergreen. See the Babel.js docs and try it in the browser. They've got this REPL thing here as well, where you can read the documentation and you can type it in the browser and it converts it automatically to ES5, so you don't need to worry about that as well. I can probably show that to you as well if you want to see, but it's not that amazing really. Babel.js IO. I've got wireless, I'm so happy. Try it out. And you see, for example, here on the right-hand side, I've got all these let statements, and I've got these arrow functions, and on the other side is what under the hood the browser would get because it doesn't understand these things. Because the problem with ES6 is that these arrows, for example, here, which always remind me of PHP and make me cringe a bit because I have to write PHP again, these are a syntax error in older browsers. So we need to do something like that on the side to give it on the older browsers, or not worry about them anymore if you're lucky enough. That's fine as well. Okay, if you want to learn about it, Exploring ES6 is a good book. It's free and online. It costs $30 as a mobile book as well. It's by Axel Rauschmeier in Germany. He's also got a great blog, duality.com. I'm one of the tech editors on it, so I get a daily build of that one at the moment. It not only explains you what it is, so also why it is, why things were done the way they were in ES6, and that's always good, because I hate all these like, here's how you do things, but you don't understand them. I'd rather have like, here's how to do things and why. I think JavaScript all in all had a bumpy ride, and many prejudices persist. People are like, it's a terrible language, it's a toy language and stuff. But I think you should open your mind and learn how far it has come and what it can do for you, because right now it's the #1 technology that people look for, and it's #1 technology that most of the new stuff that will come out will be written in, because it is cross-platform, it's open source, it's standardized, and it's supported by all the browsers. All you need is a text editor, and as I showed you, you don't even need a text editor. A browser is enough if you use a cloud hosting thing like Azure, or a few others that are out there as well, like Cloud9 IDE, for example. And that's all I've got time for, so here's a hedgehog that is dressed up like Thor. Thank you very much.